Good afternoon. I'm Caitlin Matson. This is the Green Room, and I'm welcome to the Green Room, Maestro Daniel Hege with the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. Good afternoon, Daniel.
Good afternoon, Caitlin. Great to be here.
This is an exciting concert this month for several reasons. Schumann's Rhenish Symphony definitely being one of them, such a powerhouse and a favorite of so many people, but also the opportunity to hear a work that so few people have heard. Blue Electra, a new concerto by Michael Dougherty, who's no stranger to the symphony,
That's right.
just just had its world premiere this fall.
That's right. With the National Symphony Orchestra. It was written for them and John Andrea Noceda, who's the music director, and of course the violinist Anna Kiko Myers. It was written specifically with her in mind. And the Blue Electra is about the life of Amelia Earhart. So this is a wonderful opportunity for people to hear this piece pretty freshly written. I mean, we think just of November of 2022, and then we get to play it already in February of 2023. Is very exciting. And Michael Dougherty will be in attendance. He will be there at the concert. And so hopefully people will get to see him. He has had several works played with the Wichita Symphony as of recent. American Gothic was one that was just played a few years ago. And also Tales of Hemingway, where Zul Bailey was the cellist. It was written for Zul Bailey, and we performed that work as well.
That was so memorable and theatrical and gorgeous. I remember that performance. That was the fall before COVID, I
That's right.
believe. Yeah.
It
Oh,
was
magical performance.
2019. Yeah.
Mm. So looking through some of the program notes for Blue Electra, as a Kansan, ears perk up. Amelia Earhart, such deep connections to Kansas. Each movement is titled,
Mm-hmm.
and each movement has a different theme, and some of them are based on poetry or the words of Amelia Earhart herself. Do you tell us what the different movements are, or what at least some of them are titled?
Sure. The entire work is only about 25 minutes long. So to have four movements in there, people might think, oh, is this a long concerto? It's not. It's a very kind of standard length concerto. It was written on the inspiration of Amelia Earhart and her sensational life and her mysterious disappearance in 1937. She was a pioneer for women's rights, but also was just had an incredible, almost ferocious love of challenge, you might say. She was the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean on a solo flight in 1932. So the names of the movements, the first one is Courage, and that's actually based on a poem that she wrote. And it's very beautiful. And in that movement, you hear the kind of quiet nobility, almost a profundity in the music. And then in the second movement is entitled Paris, and that is celebrating her solo flight across the Atlantic. And so it's a very fast moving movement, and you hear kind of the sign of the times. You almost hear like jazz infused music from the day. And then the third movement is entitled From an Airplane, and that's also a poem based on a poem by Amelia Earhart. And it's much more reflective and has kind of a love theme in it. It's quiet. It's kind of the emotional centerpiece of the work. And then the fourth movement is Last Flight. And you can imagine how dramatic that movement is.
Yes.
He has years of the year of each of those. And so that one is written 1937, which is when she disappeared over the Pacific Ocean. That was when she was trying to circumnavigate the globe, and she ran out of fuel just on her very last leg, which was so awful. But as you know, her airplane was never found. She was never found either. So the name of the plane was Electra.
Ah,
Electra. And of course, Blue Electra, the blue skies, the blue
yeah.
ocean. So it's entitled Blue Electra. And we thought with the connection to aviation and aviation manufacturing in Kansas, this would really strike a chord with a lot of people, with Amelia Earhart's illustrious history and also about aviation, because she was a pioneer for aviation as well, not just a female as a female aviator, but as an aviator, period.
Mm. Blue Electra is paired on the program with two other works, one of them Serenade by William Grant Still.
William Grant Stills was an African-American composer, is considered the dean of African-American composers, but really is an American composer in his own right. We don't even have to add that in because,
Right.
from his first symphony that he wrote, which was subtitled African American Symphony, or at the time, Afro American Symphony, it was premiered by the Rochester Philharmonic in 1931. Howard Hanson conducting that at Rochester. And from that time on, it became one of the most popular symphonies played by American orchestras across the country. So his voice was very distinctive and made quite an impression on orchestras in the mid 20th century. He was also, William Grant Still was also the first African American to conduct a major American orchestra, the Los Angeles Philharmonic, in 1936. So he was a very notable composer in his own right, and his very distinctive voice can be felt through a lot of his works. We're performing Serenade at the beginning of the concert. It's about a 9-minute work. It's very lyrical. It's very melodic. It has beautiful chords in it. Very listenable the first time through, and it may be people's favorite piece on the program. It is that gorgeous, and it's always a surprise to me that not more of his music is played on programs on a regular basis. It happens to coincide with Black History Month, but that's not the only reason we do it, because we perform composers who are underrepresented on a regular basis, who really deserve to be heard, and William Grant Still is one of those composers.
Absolutely. One of the greatest things about our local symphonies is the dedication to getting composers heard who, for whatever reason or not, magnificent works have kind of flown under the radar for years.
They have, and it happens not because of, I think, of purposeful neglect, but I think it's because people just keep finding pieces that have been played before, and so those pieces become popular, and the other pieces kind of just disappear into the background a little bit. So it's important to bring those works out that people will like if they just would hear them, and especially hear them live with the Wichita Symphony.
So to get tickets, you can go to wichitasymphony.org or call 316-267-7658. The concert is February the 11th. That's a Saturday. It's at 7:30. If you want to come early for concert talks with with Daniel and myself, that is 1 hour before. I was going to say Michael Dougherty, but pressing my luck. If he shows up, we should be so lucky. 1 hour before curtain.
He is planning on being there, so I hope he will join us for the concert talks.
He can be convinced.
Yes, we'll twist his arm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of grand works that people love and hear time and time again, Schumann's Rhenish Symphony. We're going to hear a few moments of the final movement with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, conducted by David Zinman, and then return and talk more with Daniel from the Wichita Symphony. Schumann's Rhenish Symphony. That is what is programmed, along with Blue Electra, the violin concerto by contemporary composer Michael Dougherty, that was just premiered in November with violinist Anna Kiko Myers. These works, along with the Serenade of William Grant Still, on the February 11th concert with the Wichita Symphony. And joining me in the green room is Maestro Daniel Hege. Speaking a little bit more, because it's just so fascinating, the idea of a brand new work being heard in Wichita. Michael Dougherty is a name that is familiar to anybody really that's kind of paid attention to the symphony or attended the symphony regularly in the past few years. His name has popped up quite a bit.
That's right. His works have been played by the Wichita Symphony a number of times over the years, and anyone who's paying attention to the symphonic scene in general will see a lot of Michael Dougherty music across the country. He likes to compose on American themes, American culture, American pop culture. He's written works that were inspired by great historical figures in America and great scenes from America. Some of the titles of his works in the past have been Jackie O, about Jackie Kennedy, Tales of Hemingway, which of course we played a few years ago. Dead Elvis is the name of another one, where bassoonists, a group of bassoonists, dress up like Elvis with the sideburns and everything, and they play. He wrote Metropolis Symphony about the Superman mythology. He wrote a piece called Rosa Parks Boulevard for orchestra, Niagara Falls. We also played a work called Raise the Roof, which is a timpani concerto for timpani and orchestra. And of course, this Blue Electra is about Amelia Earhart, who was a great hero to Americans. So he likes composing on things that are American, and his works are very accessible. We mentioned that he's a contemporary composer, and sometimes people bristle a little bit when they hear contemporary. but his music is very melodic. It's very dramatic. It has elements of jazz in it, and just a great rhythmic groove a lot of times, and it has very propulsive energy, which makes it feel very American. So I think people who are unfamiliar with Michael's works will love this piece.
And the violinist, this was composed for the violinist, Annie
Correct.
Kiko Myers,
Yes,
um, who is, I guess you could call her a superstar.
she is.
She's reached that point.
She's a phenomenal violinist, and the work was written for her, so she has exclusive rights to be playing it for the first few years, as what is typical when a work is written for a specific instrumentalist in mind. But she's played with all the major orchestras around the world, a wide repertoire from traditional music to contemporary music. So we're very fortunate to get Anna Kiko Myers with us for the concert and to play this marvelous work by Michael Dougherty, which is still almost hot off the press. So you see, this whole program has a little bit of something. We have a great African-American composer in William Grant Still with the 9-minute serenade to begin. Then we have the wonderful concerto of Michael Dougherty, Blue Electra, and then ending the concert with Robert Schumann's Rhenish Symphony, the Third Symphony.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Third Symphony, the Rhenish Symphony, kind of this anchor work of the second half. It's a popular work. I think people understand it when they hear the Rhenish Symphony. They know what we're speaking about. But why is it called the Rhenish Symphony?
He was excited about the trip that he took with Clara to the Rhineland area of Germany, and had a wonderful time there. And he wrote it as a reflection of that time after he had visited with Clara, his wife. And so it is about that area of Germany, which is so beautiful. Anyone who's been to that area of Germany knows. And he's just kind of bursting with joy, but it has all kinds of emotions all the way through it. Number one, Schumann wrote only 4 symphonies, and this is symphony number 3. But he wrote it as the last symphony. That's his last symphonic utterance, is the Third Symphony. And he published the symphony that he wrote 10 years earlier. He published it after the Rhenish Symphony, and that's why his first symphony is actually his 4th symphony. I don't want to confuse people too much, but just to say that this is his most mature and last utterance, written in 1850, was the Rhenish Symphony. It's in 5 movements. The outer movements, the 1st and 5th, are called Lebhaft, or German for lively. And you feel that. You just feel his joy is just bursting, and just the playing is with it's just complete abandon. And the second movement is a scherzo, but very, very lyrical and singing. The third movement is kind of a moment of repose, where we kind of look internally. It may be the most beautiful, very heartfelt third movement. Fourth movement is actually his experience walking into the Cologne Cathedral, and that profundity that would strike in one's mind and in one's soul. It harkens back to Bach. It has that kind of sound of Bach, very solemn. It's subtitled Feierlich, or solemn. And then he even mentions when he went out of the doors of the cathedral after this fourth movement, the sun was shining and he felt this exuberance. And that's typified now in the fifth movement.
The Rhenish Symphony concludes the next Masterworks concert of the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. So this is what we're going to call Valentine's Day weekend. Valentine's Day, Tuesday, February the 14th. The concert is February the 11th. This is a Saturday night. You're going to take your sweetie out. The symphony's romantic.
It is.
Take your sweetie to the symphony.
It's a very romantic symphony. I mean, in the sense of romantic music, which has its own genre, but also it does have that feeling of romance and beauty and charm and excitement and buoyancy and love of life. I mean, it's so life affirming, I would say, that third symphony of Schumann.
Yeah, it is. So February the 11th, Saturday evening at 7:30. You can arrive an hour early, and Daniel and myself, and maybe another person will join us for the concert talks, where Daniel just dives in a little bit deeper, even than he did just now in this interview, to really enhance the experience of the concert. For tickets, you can go to wichitasymphony.org. If you would like the box office, it is 316-267-7658. And I'm going to make a really quick mention of the Pops concert this season is Aretha, a tribute to Aretha Franklin. That is February the 18th at 7:30.
Right.
So
Carpathia Jenkins is the singer, and she is phenomenal. She is a great, great singer, and she sings those songs of Aretha in just the most amazing way.
Ah,
And she's been with a lot of orchestras doing this program. So we're really
good.
fortunate to have Carpathia Jenkins with us.
Well, it's just so fun. What a wonderful concert. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm going to take myself. I'm going stag. If anybody would like to meet me, we can be our own dates on Saturday, February the 11th, Saturday at 7:30 with the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. Thank you so much, Daniel, and I look forward to this.
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin.
Mm.